If you are just tuning in, this is NBC Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and I have a special Happy New Year announcement for you. That's right, just for beautiful, authentic you. So in this new year, I am personally plugging in all my 2022 up-leveling routines. That's right, I'm not doing goals, or as much to say as I'm not just doing a resolution that I talk about or just write it down on a list. I'm actually already scheduling in the small acts that I need to do each day that are actually going to bring me results over this 365, I guess, or less now, when you're listening in 363 to whatever it is, days. So at any rate, one of the things that I would like to introduce is that we will be having some talks on business and investing. That's right, business and investing reboots this year. So if you are looking to do a side gig, or you have a business yourself, or you're in a career and you are looking to earn some extra money, I have some tips and different things that my family, I have 6 grown children, we will all be participating in some of these and trying them out and sharing opportunities with you. And then we will also be talking about real estate investing, which is something that I have done since I was very young. So my real estate investing experience comes from, well, when I was 18 and a half years old, I bought my first little triplex. I was already working at Jet Propulsion Lab in JPL in Pasadena, California, where we have the famous Rose Bowl every year right near there. And so I saved up my money and bought this little triplex. It was very humble kind of fixer thing. And I lived in the back teeny tiny unit and rented out the best parts to everyone else. I guess I was house hacking before that was a term. And I continued to save up and invest. I was very creative on my financing, still going to school and working. So, from that to investing in many different properties, I started gift stores at 23, and the first one I leased at $5,000 a month. And I said, wait a minute, that's a lot of money to be giving to somebody, the landlord, every single month. And my mortgage, if I can save up enough to put down, I can get into a mortgage. And you know what? With business credit, which I will be sharing all about, I did just that. And business credit is a magical secret. So if you don't have a side gig, that's why that first part is important with your investing, is to have that extra income or side gig, have an LLC or an S Corp. So setting that up at 23 when I started my gift stores, by the end of the first year, I had more buying power than most people. I had a corporation's buying power. Like, they would give me credit. You can't believe I could just walk into any dealership and they'd have these specials. I'd get the best credit, like 0 interest. I'd be able to negotiate the deals on things, different vans or whatever I needed for the store. And it was just incredible. And I actually used the business credit to purchase some of the properties. One was the headquarters and rental property. And so I had some mixed use, and I actually purchased the other 4 buildings and stopped leasing and just became an owner. And so I got into real estate and investing from being an investor, and then later as other store owners were really interested in and wondered, wait a minute, you're half my age, they would say, and how are you buying buildings? What is going on? And so with that, I went ahead and I got my real estate license and started sharing about that. Worked at a small owned brokerage. And then from there, helped and led some real estate courses for real estate agents on 1031 exchange, and have done multiple 1031 exchanges and helped many small business owners and families to invest in property. So I'll be sharing about my journey and how this year, even if you think, this sounds like, how is this possible? I'm going to help you figure out if that's something you're interested in, ways that you can make it become a real possibility for 2022 moving forward. So I hope you tune into my show. There will be some upgrades. We will still be doing lots of incredible interviews with amazing people sharing about resources and reboots and ways they got back on track and hearing their stories. And also we will be getting step-to-step challenges and ways for you to tune in, call in, and ask questions and be guided to actually make 2022 a wonderful time for your business and your personal life. All right, so stay tuned. I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon.
Caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mack's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. If life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.sheilamack.com today.
Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today we have special guest Megan Bendtzen. And she is a motivational trainer, speaker, author, and life coach. Megan is the founder and CEO of a company called LifeBacon. And since everything is better with bacon, it's all about making life better. Her mission is to help people find their sizzle so they can live passionate and purposeful lives. All right, welcome to the show, Megan.
Thank you, Sheila. It's really great to be here.
Yes. And I like to start the show off with relating it to my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. This year, we've had just about every situation imaginable hit us. And so I'd love to hear maybe if you have a personal story from your life or maybe your business where you had a tough situation and how you overcame that and got back on track.
Absolutely. Yeah, it happened not long ago. I mean, and it was kind of building for a long time because I've had this sort of never-ending quest to try to figure out what I want to be when I grow up, right? And just found myself, in jobs that were paying the bills that I ended up liking. My last job, I was with 14 years. So it was a career for sure. But it wasn't, what I was passionate about. It wasn't filling my soul. And I didn't believe that it was necessarily what I was meant to do on this earth, but I didn't know what that was. And so I was kind of suffering from what I like to call life atrophy, where it's this feeling that your life is just passing you by and you're kind of on the sidelines and maybe stuck and not fully participating, not fully engaged. And time just keeps going by. Mm-hmm. And so earlier this year, in May, I found myself in a situation where I had started a side business, and my company, they were cool with that. They were aware that that was happening. And so I was trying to build this on the side. And there came a point, it was about the middle of May, when I realized that I could not do both. And I had to choose. And so that for me was, I guess if you had to pick a rock bottom, that for me was probably the toughest decision that I've ever had to make, because it was taking a chance on myself and walking away from, it was a great job. I had a 6-figure income. I had a company car. I had tenure. I had lots of benefits and perks. And I was literally stepping off a cliff into nothingness.
Wow. That is scary.
It was very scary. And especially, I think part of this too, and a lot of your guests, that you've had on this show have gone through some very traumatic things and have just incredible stories where they have hit rock bottom. And I have had this sort of feeling of guilt for many years, because I've never really had anything horrible happen to me. I've never had, suffered abuse or addiction or, a lot of things that a lot of people have to deal with. And with that sort of came this guilt of, well, here I've had nothing horrible happen to me, and still, what am I doing with my life? Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of like a double, just not a good place to be. But, at the same time, to see so many people around me and like so many guests on your show just rise up from so much difficulty, it was like, okay, well, if they can do it, why can't I?
Yeah. Yes. Wow. So that is, it's something that happens. I think that as women, especially, we're trained to compare a lot. And there's a guilt thing. Oh, well, I didn't have the bad things happen, so I got to feel guilty. Or, instead of, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful I got to read about that or listen to it and not have to walk down that road because of whatever. Right now you're in the situation we're all in with COVID, and that's something that it's how you're showing up. You didn't even mention COVID as a situation, and you're in with the rest of us. So I think it could have a lot to do with how you're showing up. Like, you're not seeing things that other people, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? So that you're here and you're not.
It's funny that you say that, because it was literally in the middle of COVID that I walked away from my job. Like, it wasn't even, it was a little bit of a factor in my mind, of course, because it was the end of May, and, it was obviously the future was a little uncertain with what was happening. I don't think anybody expected it to drag on this long, including me. But, I am a believer that timing is perfect. Timing is everything, and everything happens for a reason. But I still need to step up and make the best of, whatever situation I'm creating for myself. I'm still the sole person responsible for where my life goes next. Yes. So,
and if you're listening in, sometimes this season, especially this universal pause, COVID, all that's going on this year has caused a lot of people to have work-life shifts. Maybe they're working from home and they still have a job, or their hours got cut, and now they're able to look at really living and doing their passion and purpose in life versus a job. And you can show up and be your best and really give your talents at a business. But if it's something else is calling you, and it's bigger than that, and it's more aligned with your purpose and vision and mission in life, then you're gonna get rerouted one way or the other, or you're gonna come to the point, like Megan, like you came to this point where you're like, okay, it's time to go do this, and I need to get rid of the security blanket.
Yes. And it was something I was hanging on to for a long time. And it wasn't even just the security blanket and that feeling of having this safe umbrella to do, business, but it was also not having the belief in myself and having very limited thinking and very, just a mindset that was holding me back. And I've had so many awakenings this year. I mean, it's been crazy, but a lot of support from a lot of people, a lot of great books, a lot of great training, a lot of great mentors that have, and it's been years in the making. I mean, this has been a struggle I've had for years, and so to finally reach this point where it's like I finally believe enough, and I feel confident enough to take that leap. And so now that's what I do. And now I help other people. So my company is LifeBacon. And since bacon makes everything better, it's all about making life better and helping people wake up to, whatever that is for them, whatever that spark, and to hold them accountable, and keep them moving forward.
Yes. And I think that's something that a lot of times we give up parts of our passion and purpose in life to do our responsibilities, whether that's we have kids or we're taking care of our parents or something that we got to pay our own bills. And so we have to go do that job or that thing to help other people or our children, whatever it is, provide. And we grow up and we have to stop doing other things like playing and having fun. And, maybe you liked horseback riding or swimming or dancing and you were on a softball team or whatever it was. And all of a sudden you get to this certain age, 18, and it's like, bzz, it's over. You can't go play anymore. Now you've got to be serious and you've got to do these adult things. And who wants to do that? Because the other pieces of us, that's the part of us that's the most beautiful part. That's our meditation in motion sometimes. That's where we're connecting with the freedom of being a child and just enjoying simple things. Sometimes happiness is really the simplest thing, whatever that is. For me, it was swimming. I was on a junior Olympics team. I was swimming all the time as a kid. And it was a mental release for me to go swim. It was like my yoga. I was in the deepest meditation. I could swim laps. To this day, if I get upset, I'll do 3 or 4 hours of laps. And they'll be like, whoa, I didn't know she could swim. And she could and if I'm upset, I'll just swim. And I'll feel, when I get out of that pool, I'm like, oh, I feel like it's all gone. I left all my problems behind and I was free. And so that's something that Life Sizzle that you're helping people find again is so important, to not be so serious.
Oh my gosh. I love that you are saying all of this, because that is such a huge part of what I teach and what LifeBacon is all about, is adding in, the fun. In fact, I have been dubbed PhD Doctor of Fun, which is PHUN. So it's all about infusing that, there is no reason when you hit 18 that you have to stop acting like a kid. And in fact, that is one of the first things I recommend that people do, is start doing the things that they did as a child. Mm-hmm. And it's those activities like your swimming and, the things that are going to tap into that kid inside, that's going to take you back to that time when you believed anything was possible, right? And it's that little superhero inside of you. And it's going to wake up parts of your brain that you didn't even know existed. And you're going to be, just look at things differently, whether it's, a different avenue to promote your business or a different idea on how to run your business. There's so much creativity that comes out of play and laughter.
If you have children or elders that you're caring for right now, a lot of people, I have 2 of my youngest are home with me because the school's closed down, the dorms are closed. And so they're home, and it's hard when you're that young and you've got to be home so many hours. And luckily, little part-time things, so they have to wear masks and this and that, but they get to go out and do something, and they're very careful. But it is difficult, and that was something that I was like, we got to play every day. We got to find fun stuff. We got to do stupid, crazy things.
Yes.
We found this place called Sky Jump, and it's I don't know if you've heard of it. It's like, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000 square feet of these trampolines.
Yes.
Like, okay, I know I'm going to go take you somewhere different. And so I was like, you're going to have me jump for hours, but I wanted to get them. Now, these are kids that are really not kids anymore. They're young adults. So they're in their 20s. We go back and we're jumping and to music, and they have us doing games and all this different. It's like this whole couple hour field trip on the trampolines. And we all turned into little kids again. We were laughing so hard. We were crying. It was the best.
I love that.
We had a blast.
That reminds me. I mean, when I was a kid, my parents took us to this it was like a trampoline park. I didn't even know those still existed. That is awesome. I got to find one.
Oh yes. And it's so fun. And they got music, and, it's different now with the social distancing. You've got to have your mask and everything, but some of them are still open depending on where you live, or just it's something silly and crazy that is outside of your comfort zone. And I think it teaches us, like, you stepped out of a career to really go into your purpose and passion. It's the same thing. Stepping out of our comfort zone in other ways helps us to be able to take those steps that are really important in our career, our business, our personal lives. When it's like we're using a muscle.
Yeah. It takes, you have to work it, and it takes practice, and it might feel strange at first, or it might be hard for some people to, be silly or to just find time to laugh. And if it's not part of your daily schedule, I recommend scheduling it in and actually setting alarms to take time to laugh or play. I mean, you should be having serious, like, gut painful moments of laughter at least 3 times a day, where you're laughing so hard that your stomach hurts and you're crying. I mean, it's so important. There's so many health benefits with laughter as well. But yeah, if it's hard for you to take time to do that, you have to schedule it in.
And here's the thing. Okay, so if you're running a business and you're in leadership in that business, the most important thing, especially this year when people have so much going on at home, so many other things are happening. If you can add a little bit of fun, if you don't have a public place and you're working, preparing something or doing something where you can have music, put the music on, or have a motivational time. Like, we have a power hour at work. I have a big team that I work with, and we do real estate and this and that, and that's my other life. And so we have a power hour, and then I do an online course with that. And so we have fun, and
yes,
show up. They work and they're more productive.
There have been studies, that show that.
Yes.
That productivity level goes up as much as 500%. I have seen studies on this when people are more engaged and having fun with their work. And so, I also do corporate training as well, and have all kinds of fun games and activities that businesses can incorporate. It doesn't have to take long. Take an hour, take 30 minutes out of the day, get everyone together. Everyone is so burnt out on Zoom calls and meeting after meeting, and just like, so much mundane activity. And so you got to add some fun, and it really will re-energize the whole team.
And politically speaking, and I'm not getting political, everyone, but politically speaking, years ago, they asked me what your political party is. And I was very young, and I said, well, I'm with the Free Spirit Party. Like, I didn't know what the parties were called.
Yeah.
That's what I knew about politics. But I was invited in. A friend was running for assembly, and I helped with their campaign. I didn't know, it was really kind of nonpartisan. It was for a friend. and I got involved with helping with their vote and this and that. Do you know, they wanted me to run everything, and I got many jobs in the political realm because I was just getting people to be happy.
Yeah.
We wanted to get out the vote and have fun. And because we had so much fun and we'd make games and all this crazy stuff, that everybody would show up and they're like, oh, you could be the president. You could run for office. I was like, oh, I'd run for my life. The leadership, it was the leadership and just having fun. I mean, there were people there that were older people. They were in their 80s. I had one guy, he looked 60 and he was actually 90. I remember very well that I met him at a Starbucks, and we were all gathering to go back to the headquarters to get this vote out for my friend that was running for assembly. And he says, oh, it's my 90th birthday today. And I said, I'm going to card you. And it really was. And what kept him young was he was still active in the community, volunteering, having fun. He played golf every morning. That was his thing. He always had to play golf. And then he would be involved in everything related to the community, politics, or with the schools, even though his kids were all grown, obviously, at this point. And he was just involved and living, and everything was fun. And you would, if you met him, you would say he's 60, maybe. Yeah, he like looked really good.
That is so encouraging. And I love that story because it's proof positive that it works. And there are so many other stories like that, how just being engaged and being a participant in life. I mean, it's like I mentioned earlier, that life atrophy, when you're just on the sidelines and just watching life pass you by and not engaged and not living to your potential, man, it's such an awakening when you finally come to this. I got to tell you this little story because this was when I knew that I'd made the right choice, because I've never in my life been a morning person. And in fact, my husband knows, do not look at me, do not talk to me, like, do not engage. I need a couple hours to wake up and get my day going. And after I quit my job and started doing LifeBacon full time, Sheila, I can't even tell you, I wake up at like 4:30 or 5 in the morning, which is probably a little too early, but I bounce out of bed. I'm cheery. I'm excited. I'm chatty. And my husband is like, what the heck just happened here? But it's crazy. And that, like, to be my entire life thinking I was not a morning person, right? And telling myself this, it wasn't that I wasn't a morning person. I just wasn't on the right path. I wasn't living my purpose. I wasn't being true to me. I wasn't fulfilled, and that's so important. That's such an important piece to having a happy life.
Yes, it really does make a difference. And I mean, I quit coffee a couple months ago, and the doctor said it's probably something I had to give up. And I was like, I've given up gluten. I've given up all these a list longer. And I was like, and now I'm going to give up coffee. How am I ever going to like stay awake and do these 14 and 16-hour days that I do? And, like, how am I going to function? And I love what I do. So I'm like playing while I'm working. So I'm having a blast. So I'm like, this is like me having fun. And so, I had a couple headaches. I was tired 1 or 2 days, a little bit, and I had more energy than ever. And it was
I believe it.
I didn't need the coffee. It was something I was taught that you have to do.
Yeah.
I've
never, my husband and I, neither of us drink coffee, which is kind of strange that neither of us do. But yeah, I've always said music is my coffee, because if I'm ever feeling like tired or like I just can't get off the couch, you just put on a song and I'm up and dancing. And so, yeah, I mean, when you've got some passion and excitement inside, you don't need stimulants like that.
Exactly. And, it's really interesting because with all my hours that I work, then the pandemic hit. And so I didn't have my cleaning help anymore. And I was like, well, if I'm working 16 hours a day, I want to delegate those things to somebody else. And then I got delegated those things again. And I was like, wait, this is so not cool. And at first I was not happy about it. I was like, oh my gosh. And now we got to clean things like to a medical grade clean because of this, when it first came out, they're like, okay, we don't know. It could be on a box. It could be on a bag. It could come in from the store. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never cleaned so much in my whole entire life. This is ridiculous. I'm 2 hours to put the groceries away because I had to clean everything.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Clean, and wipe everything down. And oh my gosh. And then I turned on not the TV, but I have the TV that has the music videos. And so I put the music videos, and all of a sudden the time goes by fast. I'm singing, I'm dancing, I'm not even thinking about it anymore. And I'm having my little bit of exercise in the middle of a day or at night, whatever. And it really helps. So just music changes your state, your mental state. And so I really enjoy that now. Although I would be happy to have help again. It's kind of, I'm used to it now. And I'm like, wow, I'm saving so much money, and I can, donate that to something more important because I kind of got used to it. If that makes any sense. It's been so long that we've been on this pandemic thing.
That's a great example, because I know we've all had to make different adjustments, but it's funny how, what you thought you could never do, and then suddenly you're doing it. And I mean, that's kind of how my story goes too.
Yeah. So now I'd love to hear more about what you do with your LifeBacon program and how that works, so that people listening in, maybe they want to join or get more involved with what you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you for that. There's so many different ways to get involved. I'm all over social media. I put out a lot of free content, just little inspirational videos, how to help boost your confidence, how to overcome burnout, how to survive if you're alone going through COVID, or how to survive in close quarters with your loved one. So it's just all different kinds of, it's all about how to make your life better. I have a podcast that I'm launching next week, which I'm really excited about. And it's called the Sizzle, and it's all about how to make your life better. But yeah, I have all kinds of different programs. I can offer one-on-one coaching. I have group coaching. I have monthly membership. I do corporate training. I did a challenge not long ago, a 5-day challenge. It's the Find Your Sizzle 5-day challenge. I have a 90-day program called the BLD. It's Building the Life of Your Dreams. So there's really so many different ways that people can get some LifeBacon and get some sizzle into their life. I have a free newsletter called Bacon Bits that goes out monthly. You can sign up for that. Basically, if you go to lifebacon.com, there's all kinds of information there about, what different programs I offer. And yeah, it's all about finding your sizzle and adding some fun.
I love that. That's so important. And I think community right now is our key to freedom, especially as we're going back to lockdowns in certain states. We need to connect, get into groups, join a challenge, check out the LifeBacon and get support, because there's times where we need others, a peer group, to help us get back on track and stay on track because of the ups and downs of what's going on. And as we connect with people like Megan with LifeBacon, we're able to just have more fun and stay in that place. And then that helps our family, our friends, our community, people at work. They feel that energy. Imagine when somebody walks into the room and their energy is low, we're all like, whoa, and everybody feels it at work. Yeah. And the same thing is true when somebody comes to work and they have positive, upbeat, high energy. That changes the energy in the room and the productivity. And so we need to stay around those groups so that when we go to help other people that may be in a difficult situation or maybe at a lower energy, we can bring that energy because we've had a refueling and an accountability.
Yes, I'll tell you, Sheila, that's the number one thing that people struggle with is the accountability and staying committed, because most people have dreams and most people have something that they've been wanting to do, and either they've started or they keep putting it off or they're too scared, and there's something that is limiting that belief or stopping them from moving forward. And so that's what I like to provide, is that the accountability and the motivation to keep putting one foot in front of the other. I have a process called the 5 steps to bacon, and each letter stands for something. And it's a whole, we go through it in the 5-day challenge. We go through it in the 90-day program, but it's all about, figuring out what you want, why you want it, what's in the way, starting to take committed action day after day, infusing that joy, and then giving back. And it's like a full circle.
I love that. All right. Well, I'll be in one of your next challenges for sure.
Yeah.
So hopefully our listeners will join in, and we'll see you there. So stay tuned. Again, what is the one website people can go to?
It's LifeBacon.com.
Okay.
And I actually have a free book there called the LifeBacon Playbook. Let's get serious about having fun. So that ties right into everything that we've talked about today. There's a lot of great ideas. It's a quick 20-minute read, but just some ideas on how to infuse joy into your life, because it's so important. So LifeBacon.com.
All right. Thank you, Megan. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stay tuned.
Thanks so much.
Dear Sheila, throughout my life, I have dealt with loved ones who have struggled with addictions: alcohol, drugs, pornography, and gambling. I frequently felt that I needed to be a helping hand. I found out later that I have, at times, enabled those behaviors. What troubles me is that my son is a drug addict. Our family has been supportive with treatment, but he has not been working with his sponsor. He has been smoking pot, and he has anger issues. He has started asking me for money in strange amounts. When I shared with him my concern, he got extremely angry with me. I assured him that I was coming from a loving place, and if he needed the family to help him get additional resources for successful recovery, I would help. He was so mad that he said that he needed money for a car part, and why did I keep questioning him? I told him I would buy the part at the auto store and that he could pick it up from there. He hung up on me and text messaged me again to express how angry he was with me. He never did pick up that part. He has not returned my phone calls or messaged me. He told our family friend that he loves me but no longer wants anything to do with me. I'm very hurt. I am not in a financial position to pay his way. He is almost 24 years old. I cannot enable his addiction. I pray for him, his safety, and his recovery. How can I love my son at a distance without interfering and not enable his addiction? Signed, Loving Without Enabling. Dear Loving Without Enabling, it's such an incredibly difficult journey for a mom or any parent to deal with a child, even an adult child, who has an addiction issue. So I commend you for doing your best to help your adult child through that, and for setting such firm boundaries. Firm and loving boundaries is an incredible way to help somebody actually kick an addiction. There are also important support groups that a parent can join to help you to continue to stand your ground on this. Continue to love and help your son through things that you would normally help your son with, like the car parts. That makes sense. You would never forgive yourself for paying for something that would harm your son. So you are making the right choice. Then it's up to your son, because he is an adult now at 24 years old. So we can open the door for someone. We can give them all the resources. You can get as much help as you can. I would say one of the things, if you consider the fact that he may be going back into another addictive state and falling out from recovery, one of the things that's really important to do is have all your family members gather and friends. Get together, all the family and friends of your son that you can get together and create an intervention and decide together as a team. And that means getting together with whatever counselor, he's working with, whoever you can gather in that room, and have a course of action and a plan that you can all stick to so that together you can help him have his best chance of getting on track. And then at some point, perhaps with a therapist or somebody who's already working with him, have everybody confront him on the issue if he is actually using again. And then you're all saying no to things when you know it could hurt him, and yes to ways to help him. And that is going to really make a huge difference. So I congratulate you on standing your ground, and I hope this helps. As always, I wish you life, love, laughter, and light. Thank you for listening to Dear Sheila. This is the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and some of the things that I wanted to remind you of is if you or a family, friend, or loved one is having a tough situation or tough time getting back on track after COVID or some other interesting situation knocked you down this year, please don't give up hope. And remember, it is okay to ask for help when you need it. In fact, sometimes that is the hardest thing for us to do, especially us strong people. And I can promise you that it is the way to get back on track quickly. So one of the things to keep in mind if you have someone you know or you yourself may need a resource this year, I'm kind of the unofficial spokesperson for the 211, and the 211 is the new 411 for information on all resources in every single state in the United States and every province in Canada. If you Google 211 and your state, for instance, 211 New York, 211 Nevada, 211 California, you will find all the resources available in your area and be able to quickly connect for yourself or your loved one, co-workers, friends, people in your church, your temple, synagogue. So it's really important to just keep these simple numbers 211 in mind. There's resources for food banks, for how to get help with rental assistance, mortgage assistance, ways to get help with finding a job. Maybe you're not going to do your dream job for a second here while you're getting back on track. That's not forever either. But just to get food on the table or get some bills paid, sometimes we got to roll up our sleeves and do whatever we need to do to get back on track. And that's okay too, because it's about who you're being in all you're doing and how you show up that's going to make all the difference. You can bring in that beautiful energy of who you are into anything that you're doing. And so there's also a lot going on right now as we run into more lockdowns and vaccines coming out. There's a lot of things going on this year. Overview of the Boots formula. In December of 2017, I lost my house, my car, and my cat due to a fire. It sounds like a country music song, but that was my reality. And yet another rock bottom situation after a long period of doing really well. When we're able to retrain our minds to focus on the positives, we're able to enjoy more of life, even while we're rebuilding and rebooting. We're going to starve those negative thoughts, not feeding them with our attention, time, or energy. When you focus on the good parts of your life, those things that you can be grateful for in this moment, that energy will bring even more good things your way. Contribute and utilize your unique talent. You're not thinking about the problem at hand. You're not showing up for approval. You're just being your best self. You use your rock bottom to set the direction for your life beyond this rock bottom situation. It's important that you are really honest about where you are in this situation. You can't lie because you don't want to give up your personal responsibility. You have to own every part of this and realize it could be worse. It could be better, but this is it. If you aren't able to be honest about where you're starting from, You won't be able to clearly see where you want to go or how to get there. The next letter of BOOTS will help you answer that. The second O is for order of operations. The third step of the BOOTS formula is finding the order of operations. When you're in a rock bottom moment, there are certain steps you know you need to take to get out of it, and you need to complete those steps in a certain order. T is for thinking. The fourth step of the BOOTS formula is thinking. If you recall your thinking at the most successful points in your life, it's probably vastly different from your thinking when a crisis brings you to a rock bottom situation. Often, at the toughest times, our thinking goes to survival. We lose sight of the possibilities and opportunities that are before us. This is where thinking comes into play. It's vital to have a strong mindset in order to keep our boots on and walk out of a rough spot in life. Thinking leads you to a clear vision of where you want to go on that map of your desired outcome. You've made the decision that you're going to New York. Your bags are packed. You have an idea of how you're going to get there. You know the steps you need to take, though you may not know how the hell you're going to take them all, but you've made up your mind. That's where you're going. Tony Robbins often says, it's in the moment of decision that one's destiny is shaped. That decision is the thought that comes before the action steps required to reach your new goal. Everything happens in this step, in that decision. You can see it, feel it, embody it. Things start to show up because you're looking for them and you're open to them. You'll start getting the results you want just because that decision is in your mind. It becomes that real to you. Once you have that clear vision in your mind, you have to see yourself as if you already are living in your desired reality. You're just doing the steps to get there. S is for stepping up. The fifth and final step of the BOOTS formula is a literal step, stepping up. You've gone through the first 4 steps. You've decided how you're going to show up. You have a picture of where you're going. You know the steps you need to take, and you've made the decision to actually do something. It would be nice if you could just sit, think, and meditate your desired outcome into being. But that's not the way it works. There is some validity to the idea of manifesting what you want, but at the same time, you have to believe enough to actually go out there and take the risk. You have to overcome your fear of giving your first presentation, making your first speech, or writing your first book. You have to get out of your comfort zone, and you have to take those steps. S is for stepping up by taking the personal responsibility required for a real reboot. While the B in BOOTS is about being in the present with who you are in the situation, S is for taking those steps toward the future you want. Although there will be many times in life where we have little or no true personal responsibility for an event that alters our lives, it is always a gift to own your own response and reactions to situations. What can you do to shift the energy and step up to your part in the situation? In order to reboot, one must be willing to step into action. This last step ties back to the first one. It all comes back to being. How are you going to be when you're going through this? Sometimes it's ugly, dirty, not pretty, and certainly not fun. Nobody's going to help you move, so you have to pack all the boxes yourself. Procrastinating isn't going to help. You just have to take those action steps you defined in the order of operations. When you first start, it's overwhelming because you feel like you're still buried in the situation. Chaos is all around. But because you've done the first 4 steps of BOOTS, you have an action plan. You're not doing 1,000 steps today. You just have to take 1. You do the things that you mapped out one by one, and that helps you see, okay, I can do that. You have clarity on the action steps, so now it's time to actually get moving. Are you ready to strap on your boots and start walking? If you are just tuning in, this is NBC Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. And today I have something special to share with you. Ready? Are you ready to take your power back, take your life back? Have you just experienced a difficult situation or just living through our very interesting times? Are you ready to reinvent, rebuild, and reboot life on your terms? Check out my new book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. Here's a little bit more. Necessitated. You need a guide to show you how we get through a situation like this, to give you resources and to help you get out of the emotional pea soup fog of dealing with a crisis and the resulting fallout. I've been there, and I'm here to help you. Out of the fog. If you weren't emotionally bound up in your situation, you would have more clarity. You would be able to see your best options for dealing with whatever comes up. If the version of yourself who has already walked through this rock bottom and come out the other end could go back in time and give you, the you right now, some advice, what would she say? Would she tell you to slow down, to stop rushing, that you don't have to have all the answers today? Would the future you recommend not making any major decisions without reviewing them first, particularly while you're still in the fog? Would she tell you that normal is going to look different for a while, but that you will feel normal again? In case we haven't invented time travel by the time you read this book, I'm here to tell you all of the above. I developed the Boots formula to help you learn to make choices, have a life shift, and make great things happen based on your individual values and best life vision. A change is going to happen, and it's worth it. There's a stage where it feels like everyone in your life is picking at you. Life itself may seem like it's trying its best to stop you from doing whatever you want to do. All you hear is, that's a stupid idea, and that's never going to work, and who do you think you are? One of the hardest things for people to do is to realign and possibly walk away from anything and anyone that conflicts with their value systems. But you are going to discover that power within yourself. Through the activities and examples in this book, you will discover your true north and will be able to easily do what is needed to move forward with your life. Anything that hurts you, that doesn't resonate for you, that fights against what you want and believe in, you are going to give it the boot. Once you have turned your rock bottom moment into a positive, beautiful life shift, you can live your life on your terms. This is Sheila Mack. Thank you again for tuning in, and I have some homework for you. So go and get your copy of the new Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. It is now on Amazon, Audible, Kindle, and all major bookstores. And get ready to tune in daily as I share the Business Leader Reboot. So that is starting a business, side business, or extra income. I don't care if you're starting from zero, rebooting, starting over completely. We are going to go through the steps over this year slowly together to rebuild, reboot, and reinvent your business and personal life, or your career and personal life on your terms. And I will also be sharing about investing in properties and how to get some passive income going this year as well. So stay tuned.